back, boys and girls, to another episode of K-Fave Comparisons. My name is Mr. Knowitall, Daniel John Schafer, and I am joined here once again by the rest of the K-Fave crew. Introducing first, he is the king of the K-Fave kickflip, Mr. Wex, breaking the Lawson. Wex, how we living today, bud?
We are living great today. Besides my hurt shoulder, I hurt my shoulder doing some yoga last night. Oh, no. Feeling better, but besides that, we're living great. Second to the last episode. I can't believe it's come this far, but I'm ready for it. Got me a couple drinks in me, getting me ready, getting loose for this episode. I'm ready. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into what K-Fave Comparisons is, was, forever will be. Also with us, as always, Mr. Spectacular Vernacular himself, Mr. Jesse Baker. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Just sitting here trying to keep up with, as we record this, we got the GCW blood sport going on. I'm trying to read what's going on over there. Little Kota Ibushi versus Speedball Mike Bailey is the one I'm
that sounds fucking amazing.
Most interested in there. But yeah, man, it's fucking Mania weekend. What can I say? There's 1.5 billion fucking things going on. So I'm excited to, kind of get a chance to soak it all in, man.
Yeah, dude. You just gotta drink it in, dude. I'm excited about it. It's WrestleMania. There's just something special about this weekend every year. It's like, for me, as far as wrestling fandom, I've always been a mark. I always will be, and I always kind of have been on the outskirts, but I know what's going on, But for me, it's like, even on the years that I'm not really watching anything weekly, when WrestleMania rolls around, my interest is just, it's like, that's all I care about. I'm supposed to be selling houses this weekend, and I deliberately made sure all my showings are before WrestleMania starts on both nights. So I'm really excited, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. So today, it is our second to last show, and it's the end of season 5. It's been 5 years since I started the show in 2018, and our very first show was the show after WrestleMania. So for me, it's bittersweet. I'm really proud of the show, though. I'm really proud of what it accomplished. I'm a really big fan too of podcasts in general. I listen to a shit ton of podcasts. So for me, it's really weird because you have those narrative podcasts that are just in the general pop world of media that kind of have seasons or stories or episodes or whatever. And when they end, it's there's closure, and you understand it's going to be a limited series anyway. But for the most part, a conversational podcast, the one we have, no matter what topic it is, most of the time it just ends. They keep going until the wheels fall off and it just stops happening. And I'm a massive fan of closure in life. And I really think that I didn't want this show to turn into something that we're just having to do, and not all of us were on the same page. We're all going to be wrestling fans forever, but I just didn't want to get to a point where it was we're all kind of pulled in different directions, and then we're begrudgingly kind of doing the show. And I never got to a point where I felt that way, thank God, but I just didn't want it to get to that point. You know what I mean? I could feel myself I finally got another band going, and it's kind of taking a lot of my focus. My kids are getting older. They're getting involved in more extracurricular activities and things like that. So it's I just have less time. Video games are awesome these days too. The game,
oh yeah,
dude, it's the golden era of video games. So I'm just, I have other things that are just diverting my attention, and I wanted to dedicate this show to everything that K-Fave Comparisons has been over the past 5 years. So I just want to take a second and start from the beginning. So we're all Nashville natives, and Facebook was a lot more fun to be on 7 or 8 years ago than it is now, for sure. And we started doing the Facebook group thing when Facebook groups were kind of new. And we all just kind of, it's at that time too, we're all kind of coming into our 30s and late to mid 20s or early 20s or whatever. But it's you get to that kind of age where it's you have your wrestling fans and you have your regular friends, you know what I mean? You don't really talk about wrestling to your regular friends until you wait for them to slip in a reference or something, and then you kind of poke because you don't want to go too hard, they might have been a casual from 10 years ago. Then you start talking about the amazing promo from Zelina Vega or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just making up some obscure wrestler that probably wouldn't know if they're just a casual. And so then you get this little herd of friends that are connected to other friends, And that's kind of what the Facebook group was. It was like just Wrestle Talk only. That was the name of the group, and a lot of close friends in there. And around about a year into the group is when wrestling podcasts really blew up. It's when Cole Cabana and the CM Punk podcast happened. And then like later that year, or maybe even earlier that year, around that same time is when Bruce Pritchard really kind of got things going. And you can say what you want about Conrad Thompson. People love him or hate him. And he has definitely, overused the podcast world. Like there's definitely Conrad Thompson fatigue. Like there's the Marvel Universe fatigue at this point. But in the beginning, he was putting out banger after banger, and the podcast world really became more enticing to me. And I sent out a message on the board, and I had actually a lot of responses. And Cass, my buddy Cass Lush, the Cage Cass Lush, was the person to like really DM me, and he was like, "Hey man, like already have this YouTube channel, and I can mix it because I didn't know how to do any of that yet, and I can do all this stuff. Like we set it up, and me and Cass did the show. I mean, for 2 years until a tornado happened, and tornado was heavy for us, and like we were off for a little bit, and I lost my house, and we had to rebuild, and Cass got." He was going to have a second baby, and there was a lot just going on there. And when Cass decided to he just didn't have time. He had to work all the time, and it just wasn't working out. I reached out again to another buddy from the Wrestle Talk thing, but also we had known each other for shit. When was the first time that you think that we like booked a show together? What year do you think that would have been?
Fuck. I want to say like 2012, maybe.
Yeah. That sounds
Something
about right.
Those lines, like
yeah,
maybe in there.
I
think that seems like the window where that would have been the case.
Yep. So I had met him at least 4 or 5 years earlier, and I knew Jesse was a big fan, and he was at the time you guys were doing like the indie commentary thing.
Yeah.
And when Jesse hit me up, he was like, yeah, and I'm also been doing commentary with this guy Wex, and I think he'd be great for the podcast if it worked out, and the rest is kind of history, man. And I feel like, so for me, from everything that we've gone through to like the very beginning, being a very strict, super formatted, more of like a rewatch podcast, as opposed to like conversational, where it was just a straight comparison every time. It was either a 10 or 15 or 20 year comparison. Those first really 3 seasons of that, I think I do still feel like that was the bread and butter of the original show. And I'm really proud of that. But honestly, like we did it straight. We didn't miss a week for years. And so like after a while, I mean, there's only so many bad shows after bad shows that you can really do comparisons on. Like I do honestly think that at this point I'd say from like the Attitude Era on, like if there was a great show in there, like from Attitude Era to like maybe 2015, we definitely covered it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm really grateful for that part. And then when it became more of a conversational, open topic thing, and we got we did the Baker's Dozen there for a while, and we got to interview some really awesome indie wrestling personalities, including the great and amazing, magnificent Alex Kane. Shout out to you. I know you're listening, which I still appreciate very much. Man, I think that the show has become such a staple for me, and it like puts a stamp on a time period in my life that I will forever be grateful for. So Jesse, like, do you remember like me asking you guys, like you specifically, like, hey, Cass is out, I want you in. Like, where were you at in life? How were you feeling? Show,
I definitely do, and I know that when we actually did it, the first time that we talked about it, you had just talked about having me on like as a guest after a couple of different shows, and it was like at the time you were doing it like right after the show aired.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things that I just couldn't do because I was always something going on.
That's right.
And then I remember getting you said that you were gonna like have some guests on because Cass was no longer doing it on. At that point in time, you had said a regular basis, but it was just like hey, do you want to come on and do this show? And I know I did 1 or 2 with Benji Brown, our buddy that promotes shows here, who's awesome and also a big fan.
Yes,
Benji's actually the one who got me into or gave me the info on the Ring of Honor Dojo Pro TV tapings that happened here. And I want to say it was like 17 or 18. It was like Joey Janela and fucking Ricky Starks and
Kerry Awful,
Jeff Cobb, Kerry Awful, Kevin Koo. Like, it was a big show. It was a lot of fun, but it was just kind of cool to be able to like have those conversations. I had kind of just come off of during the beginning of COVID, I got tapped for this podcast with a really great deathmatch referee named John Gray. And he had it before. It's called The Real Side of Wrestling. I got the opportunity to, co-interview a handful of pretty fucking cool people, like Kurt Stallion. Effie was my favorite one for sure. That was a great interview as well. Our very first one was Nick fucking Gage, which was a little intimidating. And, it was just it was cool. And then there were some weird things about just the way that show had been put together. A couple of things happened during some interviews, and I kind of just backed away from it and didn't really necessarily want to have my name on it anymore. And that was around the same time that I was asked to come on Kayfabe Comparisons for just, a one shot here and there. And then it kind of got to the point where it was like, I want to keep doing this. I remember approaching you about it. And then I knew that, like, if it was just the two of us over and over again, we kind of had the thought process of bringing in guests and stuff, but knew it might get stale. Yeah. At this point in time, I'd been given an opportunity to do commentary for Revive Pro Wrestling based out of Centerville. And after my first show, which I basically did it by myself, I was supposed to do it with the guy, Adam McCormick, who ran the promotion. He just had so much going on that he couldn't really focus on the commentary part. So essentially it was kind of a one-man booth with a couple of, yeah, that's right. He was playing the Tony Schiavone in that role for sure.
Right.
And so he had asked me, or I think I actually approached him about the idea. I was like, hey, man, I'd like to be able to have somebody in the booth with me that can focus on this. And at the time, I had known Wes just through a group of friends who also happened to like wrestling and things. There were some chats that had been going on, things like that. And we had kind of run in a couple of similar circles for a really long time, weren't like close or anything. And I just kind of floated it in the group chat, and he was the first person to respond and say, like, I think I could be really good at this. I'd like to try it. I had been somewhat familiar with Thrashaholics, which I'm sure he'll expand on in a minute. And, it was just one of those things where I was like, hey, man, do you want to give this a shot? And so we went out and, from the very first shot, like, not only, we were both brand new to it, but I thought we both did really well, and we did really well off of one another. I think it was just being fans for that long, being able to understand that we had to set up kind of what the dichotomy was going to be like and things. And went on to do some stuff for Crux and so on and so forth. Shout out Carrie Awful again. But it was just kind of natural when we needed another third on here to be like, hey, Wex, try and make this happen. So obviously glad that happened. As far as like the show as a whole for me, obviously, like, I always tend to be a fan of the comparison formats just because I'm one of those dudes that like really enjoys when I go back and rewatch those things, like doing it with a purpose and like kind of dissecting matches.
Studying. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a notes guy. Like, not always for commentary so much and things like that, like little ones, but for this, it's fun for me. That part of the process is just one of those things that I always like. I get really excited about it. Like a schoolgirl. But obviously enjoyed the opportunity to do the Baker's Dozen interviews and stuff too. I mean, we had Alex Kane, Akira, the Gotch brothers, obviously. We got to do like Jesse Butler and Jaden Newman and Dylan Hales and just all kinds of really cool shit, in my opinion, that like those interviews were good and they were informative. And I think that being able to spotlight that kind of stuff and having a platform to do so was a big deal for me, because that all kind of ties into when you're talking about bands and community and local promotion and trying to like help just spread word about things like that. It's a different avenue than a lot of people are capable of using on that level. So I don't know. That's a lot of what it's meant to me. Plus, to be entirely honest, just being able to hop on at least once a week or so and shoot the shit with the dudes about wrestling, which obviously I love. And now that I don't live in Nashville, it's kind of nice to be able to have those conversations because I don't fucking have them with anybody else.
Right.
Except for my poor fiance, who now has been forced to be a fan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those deals. But yeah, man, I mean, that's about what the deal is for me. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't sad to see the transition happening, but I'm working on some ideas and stuff. So hopefully we come up with something. And shit, if I just come up with a format that might be alarmingly similar to what happened before, then, fuck all y'all.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love to hear it. I mean, that's great, man. I mean, and then to me, like, yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet, but it's like, for me personally, I just didn't want it to get to a point where I was going to, like, I would spread it so thin that it would get cheap and shitty, like, just because I felt obligated to do it. And for me, it's like, I just can't, I don't want kayfabe comparisons to ever be a bad show. And I feel like if I were to continue to put more effort and time to other passions that I truly have, it's gonna suffer somewhere, and kayfabe comparisons is unfortunately the first thing on the totem pole for it to suffer. So it's like I just didn't want it to be shitty. But Wex, man, like how I mean, do you remember like the first time Jesse hit you up about being on the show?
Yeah, so I guess we'll kind of go back because Jesse talked about Thrashaholics, and so like obviously grew up in Nashville, been a big wrestling fan, and I kind of ran in some similar circles as Jesse and adjacent to you, obviously, and so like Thrashaholics was a comedy wrestling rap group with that 8 of us.
No, it is, right? You're just on a hiatus, right?
Forever hiatus, but one day I might make some more music. But it was like wrestling. I dressed up like a full luchador, mask, tights, knee pads, belts, and everything. It was a whole wrestling, whole vibe thing. And I met Jesse through a former bandmate, Young Heckle, aka also known as Andy Bretz, back in Nashville now. But we used to go to Gold Rush, I'm pretty sure, for wrestling night. Is that where it was at?
Yep.
And then a former referee buddy of ours, I'm blanking now. What's his name?
Which one?
Referee.
Bartender ended up marrying Samantha.
Oh, Dale Albright.
Dale Albright. Yeah, there we go. He was a bartender there for like the wrestling night, and that's how I met Jesse, through Andy and our friend Acme. Longtime skateboarding friends there. Like Jesse knew some of the same skater, like, it's all that whole little Nashville thing coming together. And, he hit me up, and I as we were talking about, we were doing commentary for Revive Pro Wrestling. And then he's like, hey, you want to try this podcast? And at the time, like, I was doing a lot of stuff. I was doing my own little YouTube weekly wrestling show talking about AEW.
Yeah.
I was doing some writing for Too Sweet zine, like an online and a print publication. I just had a lot of wrestling shit going on. And honestly, kayfabe comparisons took all of it over, and those two things took a backseat and ended up quit doing both of those to go full time for kayfabe because I don't know, it was the thing that took the most time consuming thing, and it was just the hottest, best thing at the moment. And I was like, this is where we're at. This is way more fun than doing a weekly YouTube show and just writing shit. Like, obviously writing's fun, but like Jesse said, shooting the shit with the boys about wrestling every week is way more fun than a single individual confined thing right there.
Yeah.
And ever since we've been doing the show, like just like Jesse said, it's a bittersweet thing that it's coming to an end, but it was kind of getting, like you were saying, like it was kind of getting to the point because recently I've started a new job, so like I've been way more busier than I used to be. And in the past, like for the past 2 seasons, I had all this free time to do all this extra shit for the podcast. And lately it's just been lot tougher, a lot more shit going on in my life, just like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it was almost I was almost getting to that point where I'm like, fuck, I don't even want to do this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and then like once we eventually like changed the regular comparison format, made it a little bit easier on us, like things got better. And again, I was just like, this is a lot easier, but I was feeling the same way. I'm like, I don't want to get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to go through here and bullshit, half-ass it. Yeah. Just, go through the motions, because I enjoy doing this and like I have fun. I want to put it, like, I love putting in the time and work to make it good. And it kind of sucks that we're at this point, but we're going to have some new stuff obviously in the future, but it's kind of like a little bittersweet ending here. Yeah.
I mean, and you're totally dead on there too, because I feel like, I mean, people did ask a lot in the beginning, like, hey, what's with the format change? And I know we definitely took a dip in the beginning when we stopped doing that format, but the numbers did start to climb a little bit into the newer seasons. So it's like, and we're not quite back to where we were, to be honest, but we are almost back there. And it's like, that's what it was. It was like I could feel like I didn't have the time. I could feel the tension, like being in enough bands over time, and like being in bands that like you just know something's not right, but you just don't say shit and just just like keep trucking. It eventually blows up, and then you end up having like enemies, or like not even enemies, but like there's just hurt and resentment and blame and like all these other things. And the reality is, it's just like life happens. Like, it's not like I didn't get like, it's not even that I got tired of wrestling. Like, I got tired of, I have ADHD, so I did get tired of watching wrestling, making it feel like a job, or me having to, really what I got tired of, to be completely honest, was me having to bump other things that I really was passionate about in the moment in order to fill something that was lower on the totem pole. If I had enough time to do all the things that I was super passionate about, I would have loved to also, like, I feel like the watching of those shows and like dissecting it, because we were very meticulous. I mean, beer ratings on every match. It was not just like an overview, like, oh, what'd you think? It was pretty good. Me too. It was pretty good. See you guys next week. Like, it was very detailed, every match, every segment. And like, that's a lot. Like, I mean, it's not, because you're not just watching the shows. Like, it's like, oh, you watch 2 pay-per-views? Like, I can do that. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you can't just watch.
You're taking notes.
Yeah, dude, you have to, and if you miss something, you got to rewind it. Like, because and that's the best thing about this too, is our listeners. Like, I know for a fact that if we miss a major thing, you will be like, yo, why didn't you talk about this? Like, so it was like, we never wanted to feel like we missed any detail. I remember talking about the ads, being like, and then we had a Snickers commercial, and being like, I wrote it down what kind of commercial it was, because I didn't want it to feel like we weren't there. Like, we were. And so to me, like, switching the format, it became conversational. And then like, it was a whole new podcast, which was really fun, because I feel like it was the first time that like there wasn't a format, and we like really because we never freelanced before that as the 3 of us. Never just got on the mic and turned them on and said go. Like, even though most of the time we would end a comparison and then we would sit on the phone for another hour and just shoot the shit. And then I remember one time being like, this should be the show now. Like, we should just do this. Like, this is better. We're still just arguing about wrestling. It's still passionate. It's still pretty much all wrestling. But like, and like, so it was just a time-consuming thing. I am so grateful for the fans that loved that kayfabe comparison thing, because I got to tell you, that was a labor of love. Like, it was very difficult to, and I mean, listen, I'm not trying to act like we're fucking heroes up here. We're just watching wrestling shows at the end of the day. But at the same time, like, it was a lot of work. Wex did so much for the social media thing too. Like, and that's the thing too. I know that people have noticed, like, social media pretty much died off when Wex got his new job. Because it was like, he's the only one that I don't even know how to build clips like that. I'm an old man and I'm an idiot, and I don't have time to like learn a new skill, So it was like, I got the audio side, but visuals and like all that, I just can't do. And so it just slowed down. It's like, no one's mad at Wex for bettering his life and getting a better job and having more opportunities. Like, that would be stupid. But is it bad for the show? Of course it is. So then, like, why let the show get worse when we don't have to? And that's the thing too. Like, the feed is not going anywhere. So when I say like subscribe to the show, I mean it. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, I will continue to pay for the show, probably in perpetuity. Like, probably for the rest of my life, I will pay to have this show available on everything you can find podcasts on. By the way, Google, I'm working on it. It was an RSS feed issue, but I've refreshed it. I'm just waiting for the review to come back. Sorry if you're listening to us on Spotify. It should be on Google by the last episode, it should be back on Google. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I love the show. I love doing it with you guys for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I understand, but you're right though. Think about this. Like, say you just want to casually watch a Monday Night Raw or a Dynamite or a pay-per-view that week. If there's like whatever indie shows, think about it, IWTV, whatever. If you want to watch any of the stuff that you just want to watch that's not related to the show, plus 2 pay-per-views a week, that shit would get just
stale.
I mean, yeah, like I got to the point where I wouldn't even want to watch the stuff I normally wanted to watch, because like, oh man, I got to watch 2 3-hour pay-per-views, and it just got to the point where it was like, it almost made me like get over, just done with. I was like, I'm fucking tired of wrestling. I don't want to see wrestling.
Just burn out, yeah.
Just I'm like, fuck this. I don't even want to play the video game at this point. I'm just like, fuck it.
I love
wrestling video
I don't feel
games.
like Jesse knows burnout for wrestling. I feel like Jesse is like a wrestling guy.
I mean, I do,
which I admire.
I do for sure. It's just one of those things that, like, if it's task oriented, it's a different category for me.
Right.
That's just how my brain works. So like, if I have to watch it with a purpose and take notes, like I said earlier, that whole thing, like, for me, that is a project that I have to do, but it doesn't bother me. It like excites me. I don't know. It's like crossing something off a list. I don't know. That's just how I'm wired. It's just different. At that point, it really wouldn't matter what it was. Like, it could be that I watched Raw and Dynamite and whatever the fuck else, but this is still, to me, it's not the same. Like, watching wrestling is not the same as watching wrestling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just kind of a different monster altogether.
I understand that totally.
And that's why it didn't really factor into the other stuff that I was planning on watching. Plus, like, unlike you guys, I am not a traditional sports fan, so I don't have any of that stuff to fit into the schedule because it doesn't matter to me at all.
Totally true. And that's a lot.
Yeah, sports definitely adds a big thing, or just any other like regular seasonal TV shows.
Yeah, like The Last of Us or whatever, you know? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have that stuff, but it's like, that's all easy to fit in. And, not a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't guess I know what the burnout thing is. I mean, I get to a point where I get tired of fucking watching wrestling, too. Like, I was telling Daniel before we aired, I tried watching that AEW All Access show last night. Fuck that.
Yeah, it was not very good. I kept switching back between that and the Grizzlies game, so
yeah, it was not worth it. But stuff like that, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to watch it just because it's wrestling. But if it's something that I want to watch or something that is a task, then sure, that's different.
Right.
Just one of them deals. Who knows? Like
and that's the thing too. Like when I say the feed will end. Like the feed of like the seasons will end. Like the end of season 5 is next week. That's it. And there's no new seasons. But like we are all gonna stay wrestling fans, and we're certainly all gonna stay friends. Like this is not like a bad band breakup, which I've had so many of those that I was like, it's not worth like me being friends with Jesse and Wex is significantly more important than this podcast feed, in my opinion. So it's like, to me, if there's ever a time where it's like, holy shit, there's this massive like AEW main event on a pay-per-view that we didn't think would happen, that like even if it's 4 or 5 months from now, even if it's 2 months from now, like maybe we'll just, hey, can you guys get together for an hour and we'll just talk about it? Like not even a format, like we'll just talk about it. I'll just upload a straight file. Like why not? Like what's the worst that can happen? If you guys still like the way we talk about wrestling, then definitely subscribe, because I will go ahead and say there's well over a 90% chance that we'll probably get together and talk about wrestling again on this feed. It's just not going to be what kayfabe comparisons was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and and just like you were explaining last week, if me or Jesse come up with like some type of new format and we get all of us on there, like we can upload it on this feed, but it won't necessarily be the same type of show, but it's still the crew.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Kayfabe comparisons. The kayfabe crew is the 3 of us. I mean, big shout outs to the KG Cast Lush, who's, is an originator, and he's going to be on our very last show next week. I'm really excited about it. Big shout outs to Jessica Rosenberg. She jumped on the Titanic as it was sinking, but goddamn it, she did a great job. She was phenomenal every time we had her on. Loved having her. And I look forward to like what she's going to do too. She'll be on with us next week. So yeah, man, it's exciting. I'm really excited. I love this show. But you know what? Next week is our very last week. And in my life, this show is in the Podcast Hall of Fame. So speaking of the Hall of Fame, who are the inductees? Does anybody have a list of all the inductees?
I sure do.
Oh, I know off the top like 4 of them, but is there only 4?
There's 5.
All right,
so
Jesse,
let me see if I'm right, Jesse. Okay. Tell me. We got the most recent Tim White,
getting the Warrior
referee
award,
who had the great suicide segments. I loved it.
Yeah,
good shit. Then we got Stacy Keibler.
Who
was announced like last week. She definitely deserves it for what she did.
Oh yeah, star power.
Stacy
definitely
Keibler. We have the great, who just retired officially, the great Muda.
Yep,
that's correct.
We also have the celebrity inductee of Andy Kaufman.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lawler's going to do that speech for sure.
Definitely.
Let's hope. Yeah.
And last but not least, the current active superstar, Rey Mysterio Jr. Is that it?
Yep. And I know so far that Conan is inducting Rey, which I'm personally just very excited to see, because it's cool. A little unexpected. It makes perfect sense, but just for him to be on WWE programming at all, to me, is kind of unexpected. Andy Kaufman, I'm assuming, is going to be Lawler. No idea with Tim White. No idea with Stacy Keibler. I'm assuming that Mick Foley might do Stacy, and maybe that's who he was talking about. I don't know. But then, obviously, we have Ric Flair inducting the Great Muta.
The Undertaker is actually inducting Tim White.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Because that's his boy. He's the one who got him in there, apparently.
He's the first referee, right?
Yep. First referee. Even though I think Earl Hebner should be in there before him, but he's kind of got a little heat.
I think there's actually
obviously.
Several. I mean, to me, I'd say Hebner and Kyoto both before him, but maybe even Robinson, honestly. But
yeah, but what are you gonna do?
Young.
the other relevance of Tim White in terms of his relationship with Andre the Giant and the bar that he owned and the whole different, there's a lot to it.
He's not going in as a referee. He's going in as like wrestling personality.
As Tim White. Makes sense. That'll be interesting. That happens as we record this. It happens on Friday night. So whenever you hear this, it happens on Friday night, March 31st. Same time as Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. It'll be after the Go Home SmackDown. As we record this right now, there's a Multiverse United New Japan Impact show going on.
Oh, yep.
UCW show going on.
This weekend's fucking crazy.
Absolutely nuts. And then Saturday, the first day of the real deal, you have NXT Stand and Deliver during the day, which has a card full of names that I don't really know who most of them are, to be quite frank. It's a strange one. And then we have WrestleMania Night 1, and they have released these cards.
Let's
I'm
hear
not
it.
sure what kind of order they're really in, but they made a couple. Do what?
We know Cena and Theory are opening. They've advertised that.
Actually, now that I've read that they changed it and that they're closing it. That's what I've read, man. I don't know. It's very strange to me. So this is the way.
Theory headlining a Mania?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's really Cena headlining a Mania, but
there's two people in the ring.
I fully expected Charlotte and Rhea Ripley to close night 1. I just figured that's what they would go with. I think that's what they should go with. I think that'd be the smart play.
Right. Yes.
Well, what's the card for night 1? What's it looking like?
So night 1, we already have the aforementioned U.S. title match with Austin Theory going up against John Cena. We have Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's title. We have the Usos. Do what?
Said 2 bangers in a row so far.
2 bangers. The Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso, defending the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
That's going to be the main event right there. That's going to be the main event. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah,
That's the main. That's the main.
I can see it. Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus in a 3-on-3 6-woman tag team match against Damage Control, consisting of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky.
I think it'll be good.
I could care less.
I think the crowd.
I don't care, but it'll be good.
The entire crowd's going to be fucking on fire.
Yeah, nostalgia dump. That's a massive nostalgia dump.
Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
It's going to be a banger.
Match of the night.
Yeah, it's going to be a hidden gem.
Judgment Day's Dominic Mysterio taking on the new 2023 WWE Hall of Fame inductee Rey Mysterio.
Could be match of the night.
It could be.
That's the toss-up. I hope they go back-to-back. They won't, but I hope they do.
The way they have this listed, it would be Ray and Dom second, Seth Logan third.
I like that.
To be any indicator. Maybe
that.
It is, maybe it's not. And then the last on this list, which probably will be the opener, it makes sense. Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus Viking Raiders in a 4-tag team 4-way fuckfest.
That's for no time for nothing.
It's probably for like a shot at a title or something.
It's number 1 contendership, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that could be good.
Yeah.
That's a good. It'll be chaos. That's a lot of bodies. That's the best way to open the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And then you got night 2. We have. I'm going to go in the opposite order. So this is the opposite order of how they have it listed, which is what I think they mean to say is going to be opener to closer. Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Shotzi Blackheart versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville in a 4-way women's tag team match. I'm assuming also for number 1 contendership for the women's tag titles, which are currently held by Lita and Becky Lynch, who were in the 6-man the night before.
Yes.
So, again, 4 tag teams. It seems like the format here, if they open both nights with a 4 tag team match, makes sense.
Yep.
They have this listed second, and I kind of hope it is. Brock Lesnar up against the Nigerian giant Omos.
Okay, let's take a pause right here. Let's take a pause. Take a little break. Vince has a pencil, boys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vince, it might have the pencil, but he's got a pencil.
Hey, this reeks of Giant Gonzalez versus Undertaker.
I thought after that brief pause, you were going to say, and that's how long the match should be.
Probably.
Also true.
I mean, haven't we learned from people like Giant Gonzalez, Great Khali?
He's better than Giant Gonzalez. Okay, Omos is not the worst wrestler of all time. He's not.
Well, I'm just saying, haven't we learned from these big guys that like, I don't know.
I would love, by the way, for this match to surprise everybody and it'd be pretty good. Yeah. If it was pretty good, it will completely catapult Omos and it'll give people more faith in him in the ring. If it's bad, which it 99.99% will be, then I think they should just call an audible and just have like Brock, because I just have like Brock hit like 5 F5s and we never see that guy again.
Yeah, I mean which isn't gonna hurt anybody's fucking feelings. Let's be honest, but I will say that out of the tall attraction only like hyper tall giant wrestlers, Omos might be the best actual like. In terms of movement,
Paul White. Big Show's number one.
Well, but Paul White wrestled a very active schedule and did a whole bunch of character work, and that to me alone takes him out of that just a giant category.
Okay, that's fair, but I would also argue like when you think of giant, he's also like one of the first few you think of.
Oh, sure, yeah. I just mean like the dog and pony show type.
Right.
Like,
yeah. He's better than the Yeti.
Oh, Ron Reese. Poor
totally
Ron
true.
Reese.
Old T-Rex.
But
yeah,
shortest arms. The shortest arms. Did you notice that?
No, not really.
Reese, dude, go back and look. On a big tall guy, on average wrestlers, he gave that power bomb. Couldn't clasp his hands under people. Swear to God. Fact. I swear to God, next time you get a chance, if you go back and watch like a Ravens flock thing and like they come in, watch Reese on a run-in. He has, they're T-Rex arms. It's ridiculous.
Fucking great.
Rest his body grew, huh?
You'll never see him throw a clothesline either, all the way through shoulder blocks.
Smart, accentuate the positive side, the negatives. You know what I'm saying?
Out here with flippers,
My theory on Brock and Omos at this point, just because of the way things have unfolded, is that somehow they'll find a way that like Omos gets taken out before the match or something, and it ends up being Lashley.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Lashley has no opponent. So I would say something happens there.
Yeah. We can only hope something happens.
And honestly, if that happens, then I'll be like, maybe Vince doesn't have the pencil. That seems like a Triple H like long play move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, I will say that I have heard recent reports that there have been a lot more sudden rewrites and Vince McMahon style stuff happening to the script lately.
I don't like that.
Me either.
Doesn't surprise me though. Gotta say it.
Don't like that.
Moving
All right, so
on.
let me ask both of you this. Do you think that Vince McMahon will appear at WrestleMania again this year?
I hope so. I hope we see him on TV. I just don't want him writing anything.
Do you think he will take another bad stunner?
Nah, probably not.
I don't know if he'll be in ring. I could see him appearing though.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to be in ring last year, but he was. So
fair.
Yeah,
I don't think Austin McMahon again though. Like why? I still think The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania. I still think he's going to be there.
The Brock?
The Rock.
The Brock. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's just be clear, though. As far as Vince McMahon goes, this year ain't last year. Last year, he just shouldn't have been out there. This year, there's a fucking lot more to it.
Yeah.
So
100%, yeah.
Yeah, this year is not latter half of 2022 and the beginning of this year has not been McMahon's year.
It has absolutely not.
Probably the worst year of his career, even worse than the steroid trial. Trials.
Not worse than the steroid trial.
Fuck no.
I don't know. That's pretty bad.
No, I was like 11 years, dude. I'm telling you, that was like national news.
What year was that?
News, like on TV, like 94. I want to say 93, 94.
I was 3 years old.
Yeah,
I don't remember anything.
Yeah,
I was watching Ninja Turtles.
You don't remember? You was the baby.
I was watching Ninja Turtles and shit my pants.
Yeah.
Just shitting your pants at 3, huh? I guess that.
Kinda.
I guess that
around 3 is when you usually figure it out.
No, I just remember my mom telling me once when I was like around the age where I probably knew not to shit, I purposely kept watching Ninja Turtles and shit my pants. She's like, "Why'd you poop?" I'm like, "I was watching Ninja Turtles."
I don't believe I would have told that. Jesse, what do you have?
I don't give a fuck. I love Donatello.
Oh God! All right, moving on. We have what seems to be, they've made some pretty clear indicators as to how this one is going to turn out on paper. Judgment Day's Finn Balor versus Edge in a Hell in a Cell match.
And it's Demon Balor.
They've pretty much all but confirmed that, which I think is a terrible idea myself. They've also pretty much there's rumors running rampant that Gangrel's going to fly in so they can do a Brood entrance for Edge, so it could just be like fucking Hot Topic against Hot Topic match or whatever. But apparently, thank God if this is true, the cell is back to its original fucking color and not that bright.
Yes, I've heard that same thing too.
I agree. It needs to be silver. It has to be silver.
That red cell was trash.
It is dog shit.
If you got Edge coming out in the Brood shit and looking all fucking tossing blood everywhere, looking like he walked out of the Matrix, and then you got the Demon coming out with all his crazy shit, I could see them doing the red flashy fucking cell. I really hope that that's just back to the
normal. If they do, it is Vince's call 100%.
Oh, I think we're about 99% confirmed that it's going to be a silver cage.
Good.
Hey, silver's where it's at.
It's good stuff.
Because it's like it's everywhere, and they're not. I mean, if they didn't want anybody to know, you know what I mean? Like, how many times have you built that cell, right? Like, if you're using the red cell, it's prefabbed. It's already prefabbed. You're building a new silver one. That's why it's there. They're not going to paint it today or tomorrow. Like, that's silly.
Yeah.
And there's been nothing but negative shit about the red. No one likes the red cell.
And stop making the lights red or the lights purple or black or green or whatever.
That was the beginning of the end of Bray Wyatt's career. Straight up, that moment.
It's over, by the way. It's over.
That moment is
done.
like the first nail in the coffin.
No more Bray. It's over. Game over. He's gone.
It's just such a fucking bad idea. Every part of that concept was horrific. They did the same shit to Sin Cara when it first came in, when it was originally Mystico. Yeah. And it was just fucking like, God.
Wasn't it gold? It was like gold lights or something. It was like a
dark gold. I think there was a dark purple at some point. Yeah. Or like, it's just fucking let him wrestle, man. Like, especially fucking luchadors. I don't know. It's just so.
Like the whole match was staged. Why? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with that? Like, is that going to change the mood because it's all red? No, we're just not going to be able to see half the shit. It's dumb.
Just like that fucking pitch black bullshit.
Ugh, so bad.
Yep.
Match would have been good, too. And normal lighting, I swear to God, that match would have been good. It would have been good.
Honestly, that was probably one of the worst rated matches in the history of kayfabe comparisons.
And it would have been a good match. It would have been a good match.
Him and LA Knight, that's a good in-ring combination, but the setting, Uncle Howdy, it just
the end of it, that whole thing was fucking also just dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Howdy was never a good character.
That rivals the dud explosion on the exploding barbed wire death match.
Yeah.
At least that match, until that point, was a good match.
It was a great match. Finish up.
Until that point, but
it's definitely the most embarrassing thing in ring to happen to AEW.
You remember the ending. Like all you're gonna remember is Uncle Howdy missing the fucking landing in the shitty explosion. That's just all you're gonna remember is.
Okay, to be honest, to be fair, when was the last time Bo Dallas wrestled? Let alone took a stunt drop off of the top of a.
If that's even him. That's just rumor at this point.
It is him.
That was him.
It's him. It is him.
He hasn't done it since his NXT ladder match against Seth Rollins. He hasn't done any high spots at all.
6 years? 6 years.
He did no high spots with the Team B, the Social Outcast. No high spots at all.
Yeah, 7 years. 7 years.
That ladder match is the last time I remember him doing any type of high spot.
Longer? Okay, Bo Dallas has not had a bump like that. It has been a longer time than Shawn Michaels was out of pro wrestling. Almost double that time.
That's crazy. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that because we were younger back then.
Because everything moves faster.
Exactly. The older you get,
world media moves faster. It's not just us. Like that is part of that is us. Yes, it's like your life, the volume of your life, the percentage of your life becomes shorter.
Yeah, your perception of time becomes different.
The years you live, literally they're like, oh, years go by faster. They don't go by faster. They're just a smaller percentage of your life because you're getting older and older.
Yeah, like think about like when you're 5 years old, 1 year is 1/5 of your life.
Exactly.
The way you perceive it.
Time is time. It's constant.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't change. It's gonna tick for everybody, no matter what happens. Like it is what it is. But so that's what I mean. Like Bo Dallas is nay Shawn Michaels, my friend. Well, like he is not.
He's Marty Jannetty, maybe.
Maybe. And that's a stretch.
He's like the new Midnight Express. Is that what it was?
He's
With Marty Jannetty.
Bart Gunn's a great example. Great example. Pretty good wrestler. Pretty good. Nobody ever really gave a shit. They did it for a little bit, but not really. That's Bo Dallas.
Pretty much.
That's great. Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn is Bo Dallas. Same.
If Bo Dallas
Marty Jannetty is like
time, he might have done okay.
Yeah. Marty Jannetty's actually.
Oh yeah, he was tag team with Al Snow, and Al Snow was the Shawn Michaels of that team.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course. I mean, but the thing about Marty Jannetty is that he's like, in football terms, he's the original Johnny Manziel just for pro wrestling. Like, he did have all the talent. He's just a piece of shit. Like, that's the reason why it didn't work. And that's not an opinion, guys. I mean, come on. Like, look at his track record. Like, he's a piece of shit.
Oh, did you see his new Facebook post?
I don't need to. It doesn't matter. It's bona fide.
It's very funny. It's talking about
card-carrying turd. Like, it's not. There's no.
If anybody's listening to this, I encourage you to go look up Marty Jannetty's new Crazy Psycho Facebook post. He's talking about Shawn Michaels being gay, but also he's not gay and like liking the cock and all this. It's super, super weird and detailed, but it's Marty Jannetty because first he talks about killing gay people, and then now he's off his rocker. No pun intended.
Rocker
that was good
dropper.
though. That was good. I like that. All right, we have more on the show.
Now, on to the Intercontinental title match, which for some reason they have made a three-way. It scares me a little. Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre versus Gunther.
Walter.
It's going to be.
It's going to be a banger. Like Sheamus says, really banger after banger after banger.
I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really good.
If Gunther don't come out on top, then it's the wrong answer. But
this is the sleeper of the weekend, by the way. This is of both nights. This is the sleeper match that could be like. This could. Now I'm saying like at its very highest point, if they actually kill it, this could really bring a lot of relevancy back to the IC title.
Hey,
and that's the most important thing.
If Gunther can just pull a little bit of that magic from that Dragunov match and kind of insert that into here, then God damn it, like
him and Sheamus.
Feed it to me.
Him and Sheamus. That castle match was ridiculous.
Exactly. I just don't know how adding the third element of Drew McIntyre. If it was just Sheamus and Gunther, I know 100% that'd be a killer. But I don't know about the three-man, but maybe they can. I feel like they can make it work because some of the best. Think about it. WWE's really good at doing those three-man matches.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's an unnecessary distraction just because Sheamus and Gunther was so good. But at the same time, I'm not trying to talk trash on Drew. I do think Drew is very good. I just found what they have done with him to be so goddamn stale.
Right. Yeah. I think the booking is bad for him for sure.
It's just hard to get interested in. You know what I mean? It's like you guys are.
But Bell is great though. That's why I think this is a great spot for him because like I'm really hyped because like we can all agree that Gunther and Sheamus, that match was really good and probably the best an IC title match has been in a very long time with a lot of high profile things on it in their kind of like home space. Really good, right? So to me, we all know Drew is good, but he's just been booked bad, but so bad that it's like apathetic. Like we don't care at all about him.
Yeah,
like, we know he's good. So that's what I mean. Like here's like the perfect place for him because it's like the interest is actually really more on like, oh yeah, Gunther and Sheamus again. Oh yeah, and Drew's there. But it's like, but Drew's really good too. You know what I mean? Like I don't see how he could hurt that chemistry is what I mean.
Makes sense.
Okay, maybe it could be good as remember this match that happened like probably like 4 years ago now. I think it was Lesnar versus Rollins versus Roman Reigns, a triple threat match that they had that was a fucking like
banger.
Yeah. If they can do anything similar, like in that like vein, not the same style, obviously they have different styles, but if you can get that same emotion, energy right there, like I'm all for it.
Yeah, agreed.
I could see it being really good. I hope so. I do hope Gunther comes out on top just because I think that push makes the most sense. I don't think either of the other guys really needs it, but we'll see what they do. Up next, Raw Women's Title, Asuka versus Bianca Belair. What y'all think?
Oh, should be good. Asuka better win, in my opinion. But the build has been very lacking on this, just like the other women's title match. But you know, bell to bell, like we're talking about, and other lacking story things there. We know bell to bell in ring, it's going to be a banger. Both of them are absolutely, phenomenal superstars in their own right. But I think it's Asuka's time to get back on top. She's been kind of just kind of laying in the background for like the past 2 to 3 years. It's time for her to get that title back, and I like the whole evil kind of gimmick coming back. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, I don't care at all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the match is going to be really stiff, and but there hasn't really been much build at all. Yeah. I think it's hard. Like, I know Asuka put the makeup on and the evil clown thing or whatever, but it's fucking hard to have her be a heel. And if you don't want Bianca to go full heel, it's kind of just a fart in church,
Yeah.
Like, there's not really a lot to build against. It's like, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. And, that's really all it is. But, I mean, I disagree about the build with Charlotte and Rhea, to be honest. I think they've been doing some pretty killer promos. And, like, they've actually had a pretty solid few weeks of exchange about, like, a lot of just real shit. And
I mean, they also have the history from a WrestleMania a few years ago in the NXT title, which was bullshit. So I understand how that could work easier, but this one just doesn't have the meat on the bone.
I don't know, man. I think it does only because it's like.
No, I'm talking about the Asuka Bianca Belair doesn't have much meat on the bone.
Definitely not. But that's the reason that the other one's on the first night, because it's going to be the star of those two for sure.
Yeah, and it should be.
And then this is basically, and this is no offense to Bianca and Asuka are both two of my favorite wrestlers. Don't get me wrong, but essentially this is like the ginger on the sushi plate for the main event of the evening, where we have the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, up against Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Championship title, king
of the universe.
Yes.
And I don't know if you boys have seen those leaked designs of that new Cody Rhodes American Nightmare Winged Eagle type beat title, but if you have, it looks fucking sick. And if that becomes the new belt, give it to me, baby.
Now I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up right here. I can't wait. I can't. Okay. All right. Before I do. Remember how like 2 weeks ago, everyone's like, they got to find a way to put Sami Zayn in the main event. It has to happen. Fans are going to revolt. Cody's not there yet. Not nice to WWE fans. Yada, yada, yada. And here we are. Dude. Everybody's on Team Cody. And no one's mad with Sami's booking because they did it well. They did it so well. The Kevin Owens Sami reunion was so that was a moment. That was just as big of a WWE TV moment that the Sami Uso turn was. Like it was a mass. It's going to keep going. It's great booking. Sami gets to keep going and keep on his same trajectory. It's going to be great. And Cody is finally. It's going to be him. It has to be him. I'm convinced now more than ever that we get just a long break from Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens win, and there's a big thing with just that family for a while, months even. Roman Reigns comes back, beats the shit out of Sami. And you have Cody go on this massive run.
Yeah,
Cody goes on this massive run, and you're gonna have some massive debut like Jay White, maybe on Monday, and immediately you got a program for Cody, your brand new champion. You feed him a brand new heel that can cut great promos. Give right away. He's going to take a loss. Not really going to hurt Jay White that bad to come in and lose to Cody Rhodes, your very first thing. Although a bunch of marks are going to be like, can't believe they buried Jay White. Can't believe they did that on his first pay-per-view win. He should have won the title. So many people will say that because everybody thinks in a 1 week span. Because when you live in that bubble, this is why you shouldn't watch every single wrestling show. Because then you get in this bubble where it's like, well, because they did this thing that one time in the 15-minute backstage segment on Raw 3 weeks ago, you had to put it here. It's like, Stop. Don't do that. Okay? You're watching a sitcom, right? You're not watching Game of Thrones. You're watching Seinfeld. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're going to call back to some things, but those little details, they're going to forget about that shit. You're going to be mad about it. They're going to argue. You're going to argue with it, but they're going to keep going because the broad picture is always the most important thing. And at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes is the guy to push you into the rest of 2023. I do also think that Raw on Monday this is probably one of the most important Raws after Mania that's been in years. Especially if Cody Rhodes wins the title. I mean, it's the first time you've had a new world champion in 3 years.
I also think, too, the biggest boon to the Cody thing, and people talk shit about Roman about this, and to be honest, I'm not entirely convinced that it's Roman's fault. I think this is just how they booked it, and I think it's been smart, whether they did it on purpose or not. But the biggest boon to the Cody thing is kind of a return to in the Attitude Era when you just had random fucking title defenses every week. You just had dudes who, like, you didn't know necessarily who the number one contender was. It was just like, you know what? Tonight's a world championship match on SmackDown.
Yep.
And it's like, you know who's going to take it, but it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's a perfect opportunity. Yeah. Perfect opportunity to put some spotlight on some other people on the roster that never would have gotten it any other way.
Right. Kind of like that John Cena U.S. Open Challenge title match. Like, it's kind of that same similar vein. Yeah. And I think this has been booked brilliantly with Cody. Like, did anybody watch Monday Night Raw this week, or at least got the reviews on it?
Actually,
Cody defeated the previously undefeated Solo Sikoa, who is like Roman Reigns' top like henchman.
Yeah,
this is like a video game. This is like the lower boss before you get to the main boss in the game. Yeah. I think it's just brilliant because it doesn't hurt Solo Sikoa from losing to Cody Rhodes, who's going to eventually beat the tribal. I mean, it all works perfect. I just think it's brilliant writing. Best thing that could have happened to Cody since he came back, and it kind of lays that foundation for other people to kind of come on over, because we hear the rumors about people like Matt Cardona, Brian Cage. His contract is up this week with AEW and Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
There's lots of potential. Jay White, like you said, there's a lot of potential, and like wrestling just did a really good point. Plus,
everyone is a heel. Everyone is a heel right now.
So Brian Cage.
You can anybody.
Brian Cage could be a perfect. He's a WWE type guy to me.
No, I mean, even on the Raw, even if no one comes, Gunther loses the title, and the next night's like, well, this is the one I want. No one's going to care that he lost because he could put on a banger last night, and that's a good opponent right away. Even if you get nobody right off the bat.
And that would actually make a lot of sense, having him drop IC belt to go for the world title.
Not to mention the fucking Rumble thing between him and Cody.
There's so many more, and this is what I will say. I want to go ahead and preface this too, because we're already talking like it's concrete that Cody Rhodes is winning the title. We don't know.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
and he does do stupid ass shit sometimes. And I will say,
and we got Vince McMahon backstage.
If Roman Reigns, and I adore this Tribal Chief run, adore it, Hall of Fame level. Like he has proven every doubter wrong. Roman Reigns deserves every bit of the flowers that he's going to get throughout his career. This is the time. This is the time for him to lose his title. Period. He has to lose. If you get cold feet and you fuck this up, you will ruin this year. You'll ruin the year. There will be no pulling it back. And people are like, oh, well, then maybe they'll just give it to Sami and like, on Backlash or what? Like, who gives a shit?
Unforgiven.
What? Like, and even then, it's like, no. Sami is not. Sami is a continuous story that true diehard wrestling fans love. A character that we can really sink our teeth into. He is not a Hot Ones guest. He is not he's just not that guy. Like, and that's not a slight. He is a legend. Shawn Michaels wasn't a Hot Ones guy. I'm not saying he couldn't be champ, but in this climate, in this media stage of what the brand of WWE is, he's not that guy. He could
be a Ring of Honor world champion.
Of course, he could be AEW world champion. No doubt about it. Absolutely. I'm not saying he is a main event guy. Seth Rollins is not the right guy to beat Roman Reigns. And we all know how much I love Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Like,
this is not the right time. At different points in time it was, but not right now.
Most slam dunk decision since Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik. And I mean that. This is a slam dunk Stone Cold versus Shawn at 14. This is a slam dunk Cody Rhodes has to win the title. This is slam dunk 19 Brock and Angle win the title.
And I'll take you with this one. And if they don't do it right and they fuck this up, this could be a Hogan Yokozuna.
I will say this, like, especially with the show ending and me already taking a break anyway, I swear to God, if Roman Reigns ends up winning, I will have to take a break because I know they'll have to write themselves out of a hole. And sometimes they want to do that, and sometimes that creates great content. But I'm just not going to give a shit enough. It's like you can only edge me so many times before, like, I got to find that finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, this is the time. Like, it has to be Cody. Now,
if Roman wins, we're going to get post-Roman versus Undertaker vibes. Fuck you, Roman.
No, I think there'll be a solid amount of the crowd that'll be fine with it. I genuinely think a lot of people will be like, oh, Roman Reigns is so great. A lot of people. But I do think
I'm tired of these 3-year title runs. This ain't that Bruno Sammartino bullshit no more. I want some variety.
Yeah, I agree. It's the time.
Yeah. I mean, if it ain't Cody, they're fucking up. We've already made that clear. I don't see how you move forward with Roman Reigns if you keep it on him. I really don't.
How great though since Cody came back, like those promos that he's cut and the few matches that he's had.
Oh, he's been great.
So good. And it would have been so easy for them to say he's not wrestling again until Mania. But that solo match helped get him over the
and the story, dude.
Like
exactly like I was saying, dude. Everything worked perfect with that.
So good. Like
he could have beat literally anybody else and it wouldn't have mattered, but that person and that whole story. Like he could have beat fucking, I don't know, Baron Corbin and no one would have given a fuck.
Yeah. Cody's the guy though, man. I mean, there's no way around it. Cody's the guy.
It's his time.
Yeah. It's his time.
Do it. Gotta do it.
It's my time. My time.
What's that?
I was just singing the Triple H My Time theme song.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
It is a great one.
Well, boys, we got one more left in the chamber.
It's going to be a big one, too.
It's going to be massive. Go ahead.
Blow a huge load.
I'm going to go ahead and apologize to our listeners here. Our last show is going to be a long one. We got the Cagey Cast Slush coming back. We have the voice of the vaginal perspective, Miss Jessica Rosenberg, coming back as well. I'm really excited about everything. I'm excited about this show. I'm excited to put a bow on it. I'm excited for listeners that are still here. And dude, if you've been here since day one, I legitimately love you. This has been such a massive part of my life. It's amazing that we are still doing it. I'm so happy that we're able to give you guys a conclusive ending, at least to a series that is Kayfabe Comparisons. Maybe not the Kayfabe Crew, but the series Kayfabe Comparisons coming to an end. I'm so hype about it, man. I'm really excited to bring to you guys. And honestly, what a great what a great Mania that we have. We have some in the chamber that we know are going to be bangers, and then some that could, and then some that we think are going to be stinkers that could be awesome. There's so many. It's a very interesting WrestleMania weekend. I'm very excited about it. And again, in perpetuity, you can always find the show at Kayfabe Comparisons on anywhere you find your podcasts, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go watch our old videos. And, on TikTok as well. Maybe there'll be a little bit more action on TikTok. Maybe I'll do some bumpers there. But we're KayfabeCom Pod there. And then at KayfabeCom on Twitter and Instagram. Those are going to keep going. Hit us with a follow, a sub. If you really liked our content, go ahead and leave a 5-star review too. Maybe our last show will pop up in somebody else's feed and they'll enjoy it as well. So thank you guys. You can always find me at Daniel Daybreak. Everywhere there is handles. And Jesse, where can people find you?
Jesse Baker Nash on Instagram and Twitter, and regular old Jesse Baker on Facebook.
Wex, give them the script, baby.
All right, you can always find your boy Wex breaking the Lawson at Wex breaking the Lawson on all of your social media platforms, and just be on the lookout. Like you said, we got some different shit popping off here soon. I don't know if you guys know my cousin Eddie Frills. He gets out of jail here in the next month. We'll have some new content back on the internet. We'll have some fun stuff popping off. Wrestling, skateboarding, all the good stuff. And like I said, some new episodes on some other feeds and more shit might be popping off. Just be listening. If you like the content, just keep that ear open. Like Cody Rhodes and them old Being the Elite things. He's like, he hears it. He knows what's going on. Be ready.
I love it. Thank you guys for being here, man. Thank you guys for listening for the past 5 years. Be sure to tune in for next week. It's our last show. We're going to put on a banger for you guys. We'll see you next week. We're out. Peace.
Peace. Whoop.